Welcome to the Practice Podcast, a show created by lawyers to help lawyers in life and business without all the complicated lawyer language. Let's welcome Bast Amron founders and your hosts, Jeff Bast and Brett Amron.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Brett. We were both looking at each other there, wondering who's going to kick it off. Hello, happy Friday to you. Because we're recording this on a Friday. Maybe people aren't listening to it on a Friday, but I love Fridays and I love Friday podcasts.
I hope we can let whoever the listener is roll into a weekend. So maybe they are listening to it on a Friday or making the start of their week just that much more pleasant by listening to it on a Monday.
Yeah, I hope so. Wherever it is, however you're listening, wherever you are, I hope you're having fun.
We're just glad you're listening.
Yeah. All right. So, Brett.
Yeah.
My question for you is, as you age, what is becoming scary to you besides clowns?
As I age, well, I would say a few things. One, there are hairs and things that come out of places that they used to come out of places. If I'm being perfectly honest, I would still hate brain function because that is something that is very hard to sort of see before it hits you, right? And I've seen that, and I know you have too, with some relatives that are older than we are. And you just have no idea. I mean, there's tests today that can see if you're, a candidate or, if you're more prone than others, but you have no idea until it hits you or you get diagnosed with something, and then it's kind of too late given where we are currently. And so that's the thing, I think. Brain function, cognitive function is what I sort of think about most as I age.
Yeah.
How about you?
That is the first thing that comes to mind, like losing my memory, my faculties, cognitive decline. But for the sake of discussion, I'll add to that. It's this idea that we have spent the majority of the time that we'll spend with our kids, we have by now spent with them. The time with our kids is diminishing with time. It's becoming more increasingly difficult for us anyways, to get the five of us together. We were in Maine. We didn't get all five of us. We've been trying to plan a trip. It's just becoming harder and harder. And so I'm afraid of losing those moments, of the decline of volume and quality of those moments. How about that? We'll still have them, but.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, obviously my kids are, I'm a little bit behind you, but I'm there anyway, with, having trouble with getting the five together. But I think because of that, and I know you guys focus on this too, you focus on the quality of each interaction as opposed to the quantity. And I think given our age, given our experience, I think we are more focused on the quality than the quantity because the quantity is becoming scarcer. Yeah. And so with each interaction, it's just you enjoy it more and you're focused on it more. So
yeah. And I've learned to savor them more, appreciate them more and savor them more. So, all right, I'm going to hear from our guests. So I'm going to roll into an introduction of our guest, Patrice Gillespie Smith. Patrice is the president and chief operating officer of the Underline Miami. Patrice leads, it's one of Miami's most transformative projects. They are reimagining the space between the Miami Metro Rail, and they're turning it into a vibrant destination that connects neighborhoods and communities. It's truly amazing. I love it. I love watching it. I love seeing it. I want to interact with it more. But earlier this year, we had the pleasure of hearing Patrice speak at our Business Advantage Forum. And you can hear that discussion, which I thought was really fascinating, on episode 212 of this very show. Welcome, Patrice.
Well, welcome. Thank you so much for having me. But I didn't realize we were going to be this reflective.
Oh, yeah? Do you want to jump in on what's scaring you? I mean, you're very young, but what's scaring you?
Okay, first off, kudos. But I think I'm actually in the same age range here and 3 children. So I think all 3 of us have 3 kids.
What do you have?
2 boys and a girl, 2 in college and 1 still in high school. So, okay.
That's
so
Brett.
we...
2 boys and a girl.
Yeah.
Well, then yes. And I agree,
same.
Time is fleeting. But you asked what scares us. I think as I get older, I'm noticing we don't need to make things bigger and consume more. And that scares me. I feel like I'm seeing a real trend where homes are getting bigger, people are paving over nature, and I think that scares me a lot.
You're scaring the development that we are, even though we don't need to, we still are doing it.
Yeah.
We as a collective.
Society. But I think what's great about Miami is we have a lot of dense development. High rises are great, but what I'm seeing just in the suburban areas is kind of this eating up of nature. And so that scares me for our next generation. What are they going to have left?
Thank you for adding something else to my list to be scared. Yeah, you're right. That's a great one. And if on that token, national parks, like the national parks before this new administration took over, were like $2 billion behind in repairs and maintenance. And now it's like, their forces have been decimated. And like, I'm so worried about those sacred spaces. And so.
Right, where our families come together. And actually, nature is proven to reduce cognitive decline, Brett. So this is something we can all benefit from.
That is 100% true. And that's a great way to bring it all back together. So let's get out in nature with your family, ideally. And so there you go. Therese, tell us your history. Where are you from, Miami? And
No, I've been here for the last 15 years. But,
all right, we're going to count that.
So I lived kind of all over the nation. Started in Ohio. That's where I was born.
Oh, yeah. We're in Ohio.
Toledo, Ohio.
Nice.
On the Great Lakes.
We have a partner from Toledo. I don't know if she's born in Toledo. Was Dana? Anyway, whatever. We have somebody. We have
good.
a partner with a connection to Toledo.
So glass capital of the world. I don't know if it's still.
Is that right? The glass capital of the world.
It was at one time, but still where your Jeep is made if you drive a Jeep. And
I used to drive a Jeep.
See, there you go. And I think Stellantis is joining. Now they're going to have Land Rovers and something else made there too. So anyway, I have to be a little proud of good old Toledo. And then I went to school in Milwaukee at Marquette Jesuit School. And then after that, just grad school at Ohio State University.
The Ohio State,
thank you, yes. And then moved around the country. My husband works for universities, so we moved to Seattle and got to work for the Department of Transportation there. A very innovative mayor by the name of Mayor Nichols. So he was incredible on transportation. I was the chief of staff there. We passed an incredible ballot measure called Bridging the Gap to help catch up on all that infrastructure you're talking about. So that's a part of the country that really plans. And so very exciting as an urban planner to see they're looking at how do we conserve our resources, and then moved to St. Louis. I don't know if you've been to St. Louis.
I've never been to St. Louis.
Well, it's one of the hardest working cities in America, I'd say. Just such, I'd say very hardworking, very focused individuals. I think a lot of big companies are located there for that reason. And it's just a great place to be. A lot of historic preservation going on there, beautiful housing stock. And then 15 years ago, landed here.
Do you know the slogan for Miami? Because you had the glass capital of the world in Toledo, and then the hardest working Miami, the Magic City.
Which I believe it. Every day when I'm here, I think, this is a beautiful place.
We live in paradise.
We really do.
We love it here.
And I'm blown away to see, the blue herons. And on the underline, you can see a tricolor heron. You can see all sorts of butterflies. So it's a beautiful place.
So you've been here 15 years. Obviously, you haven't been involved in the underline that whole time because it didn't exist. So
so when I started, I was working for a private firm by the name of Urban Health Solutions. Actually worked to get it off the ground. It was kind of a new way of looking at things. How do we make communities more livable through policies, procedures, projects, and got to work with a lot of organizations in Broward. Actually started there, ultimately creating safer streets, places where all modes could actually operate on the street. I don't know if you know this, but the South Florida area is one of the worst in the country for pedestrian and bike fatalities.
Wow.
So we've been working on that a long time to try to improve that. And I think it's because we, for so many years and decades, planned around the automobile. And I mean, this is a city where you have the Porsche Tower, you have the Aston Martin Tower, Mercedes Tower. So it makes sense. We're a glamorous city, but just trying to figure out how to balance all those modes by, putting bike lanes, more multimodal trails, creating policies where people don't have to speed just to get home. Maybe there's a way to reconnect reconfigure a road, but also have legislation that supports more modes on the street. So started there, then went to the Parks Department to head up something called Million Trees Miami and Neat Streets Miami. So 2 really cool nonprofits that are focused on making Miami more livable, safer, and greener. And worked there for about 4 years, had an incredible board that helped propel a lot of what we were trying to accomplish. And one of them was to increase the tree canopy in Miami. It's probably no surprise to you, we were at about 20%, which, the ideal tree canopy is about 30%. So we've planted, hundreds of thousands of trees, but not 1 million yet. So we're still working on it.
Where do we know what the number
All
is?
across, I don't even know what the number is today since I left. But when I was there, I think we were at about 250,000 in my tenure there. So
Wow, cool. I love that program. And I know Miami Beach had a program that was something like Add Shade or whatever. They're going to be planting some trees on my swale. I signed up for the program and I'm really excited. I can't wait for my new trees.
And that's a program we started. So we fund, what we do is we match a city. And Miami Beach was one of the first to put up their hand and go, yes, we want
great.
that.
Yeah,
So,
we need shade. Yeah, I love trees.
so beneficial. Right. I mean, on a day like this, what are you seeking?
Yeah.
Shade. So.
Yeah. Just a slight detour. There's this huge tree in my neighborhood that's, the parrots live there. There's so much happening in this tree. And I recently heard that it's going to be taken down for construction. And it just kills me. I'm so sad.
I am so surprised because usually that tree will add value to your property.
Yeah, it is.
Even if you're building around.
It's like a whole community, that thing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like these trees and you see little palm trees kind of growing out of it too. It's just so much happening there. Anyway, sorry to detour. Brett, you wanted to jump in on something?
Yeah, first of all, Patrice, it's nice to meet you. I know we didn't get a chance to do it at the forum, but your talk and your participation was amazing. So thank you for that. Thank you for the good work you're doing. I know we, both Jeff and I and our families have benefited from the work you're doing. So thank you. And did in Miami, and as you mentioned, South Florida is really focused on the car. The use of the car. Tell us about how the Underline came about and how some of the challenges you've had. And it is a great success and it is continuing to be built and it's amazing to watch. Tell us some of the challenges you've had and sort of what is the end goal? Or is that the start of it or is that the finish of it?
Great question. So first off, I'll start with our founder's story. Meg Daly thought of this about 13 years ago after falling off of her bike, breaking both of her arms. First of all, you know how helpless you are with 2 broken arms. Like she said, she had to have somebody doing everything. But one thing she could continue to do is walk. And she was on her way to physical therapy and realized, wow, it's a lot cooler below the Miami Metro Rail. And she had just been up in New York. I don't know if you've been to New York to see the High Line.
Sure.
But she had just been there and she realized, wait a minute, we can do that here in Miami. And as she will tell you, she was blissfully unaware of what it's like to work with the county. And mind you, the county's the best partner we have, but sometimes not easy to move major, transformative projects forward. So here we are, 13 years later, we've opened up, 4 segments so far. We're at almost 7 miles. And you asked about the challenges. So it is a challenge. Here we are. We've built this beautiful multimodal trail that will span 10 miles between Miami River all the way down to Dadeland South. And the challenge we face is, a lot of times motorists don't want to anticipate anything other than another car. So we've really worked with the Florida Department of Transportation, with the Miami-Dade County Department of Transportation and Public Works, the city, and everyone we can to try to ensure the safety of those individuals that are on the Underline, because we do intersect. We have 34 intersections along those 10 miles.
Right.
So we have to make sure that when people are going along, that motorists know they're coming. So there's tons of extra signage. There's even some changes in the geometry of the intersections. And then there's also, it's an enhancement called a lead pedestrian interval. And that means that the pedestrian has a few extra seconds before the motorist can even take a right. So the motorist has extra visibility and hopefully can see that person before they're, anticipating them.
For the benefit of people who have not seen the Underline, or maybe they're in South Florida and not in Miami, can you just explain exactly what it is?
Sure.
Because I don't know if, I think we kind of skipped over that.
Yeah, so it's a multimodal trail and open space stretching 10 miles when we're finished by the end of this year. So in December of 2026, we're going to be finished. And it starts in Brickell at the Miami River. And it is, in most parts, so at least 70%, it's a separate bike trail from pedestrian trail. And that was because the community told us we had over 100 public planning meetings before this even started. So to put together the master plan, to put together the construction plans. And the community told us time and time again, we want a safe place to bike and walk. We want a place where we can interact with nature, and we want a place where we can interact with each other. And that's what the Underline's all about. So we are a first and last mile connection to the Miami Metro Rail. So there's 8 Metro Rail stations along the Underline. And then we are, whenever we interview our visitors, they tell us, I'm meeting somebody new on the Underline. So actually 2/3 of all visitors are reporting that. So we're very pleased. But we also know, people want to do, maybe you're not a cyclist, maybe you're just walking your dog. So we have a dog park on the Underline. We have basketball courts on the Underline. We have a stage. We have a lot of different opportunities for programming. And we offer more than 250 programs on the Underline every year.
Amazing.
I love it. I'd love to see more and sort of branches off of that and bike lanes, like you were saying. I used to ride a lot, but I got scared because of the traffic and cars getting so close. And so I just stopped, which is sad, right? Like we should be outside and enjoying nature, as you said.
Exactly. I had the joy of walking my kids to school for 10 years. And talk about those moments. I mean, that was really meaningful to me. And I have a lot of empathy for families who can't get out and be active with their families. So I hope the Underline is a place where you can do that. And what our research has shown is that people from all over the county are coming to the Underline because of that connection to the Miami Metro Rail. So when we check our zip codes, Alapata is one of the top ones, Little Havana, Overtown. And that means people are taking transit or walking or biking. Somehow they're getting to the Underline. And then, Brett, to your point, we are working with the other trails throughout the county to try to elevate and propel their efforts because we know, we're more successful as part of a network. And Commissioner Rosado at the City of Miami has done a great job. He introduced the Miami Loop legislation, which really calls for about 200 miles of trails throughout the county, and he's trying to connect it. And it's economically advantageous.
Do we currently have them in Merchant Trails? You're saying, okay, build it. I was like, whoa,
yeah,
really?
So things like Commodore Trail, like the Ludlam Trail, Chrome Trail's already built. That's way down south. Snapper Creek Trail. There's tons of trails, but they're not necessarily connected right now. Rick and Drecker, as you know, is trying to formalize their trail. So there's so many opportunities. I live in Miami Shores, and our community is dying for a trail. So, and actually there's right-of-way that is next to the Brightline rail. So there's an opportunity there, but it takes somebody who has that same vision that our founder did.
Right. Wow. Amazing.
Traveling to other cities, New York has the High Line, in a city area. Dallas has something similar, as does Atlanta, that I've had the benefit of running on. And I've run on some of those trails you just mentioned in South Florida. But to get from one to the other, is a mission. And so, boy, I would love to see our commissioners in our city come together to bridge that gap. And I feel like Miami is a city, given the weather, at least a few months a year anyway, where people would get outside. And, are you seeing that in terms of the feedback you're getting, at least the planning of the Underline, that people would want to use it not just for exercise and for family, but maybe to commute?
Yes. Thank you for asking that, because we have a lot of people tell us their story. They're taking their kids to school, maybe on a trailer, and then they get on the Miami Metro Rail to finish their commute. Rod Miller of the Beacon Council said he's taking the Underline from his place in Coconut Grove down to downtown. And those are just people we know. I mean, a lot of people stop and tell us. We've seen, I can't tell you how many families we're seeing just walk their kids to the South. I think it's called South Miami Elementary in Brickell. Yeah, Miami South. Anyway, the Brickell Elementary School right on 13th, and dozens of families every day. So we're really excited that people want to be out there. And I think that basically what we're hearing is the same thing you said, Brett. If I weren't so fearful, I'd be biking more.
Right.
And we're hoping we're providing that outlet.
Amazing.
I know, for example, for me, I live 6 miles from downtown. If there were and right near the Commodore Trail, I use the Commodore Trail to run all the time. But if there were a contiguous, easy path to get from Coconut Grove to downtown, I would certainly ride a bicycle into downtown to work rather than sitting in my car and getting mad at
Exactly.
the traffic, as many of us do.
Right. And think about the productivity for the employer. If your employee comes in not frustrated about traffic, but rather thinking, oh, I just got a few calories burned, I feel better mentally, it's a win-win for everyone. And we are hearing more and more that people are taking advantage of that. We've had people tell us the underline, not to be dramatic, the underline has saved their life because they've lost a ton of weight. One woman said I was able to take my baby full term because I was walking on the underline. So people are finding different uses based on their needs.
Well, I'm going to vow here today, not in the summer, but I'll do it when the weather cools off a little bit. I won't ride from my house. I'm going to use the underline. I'm going to go to the office and maybe I can document it and link it. And maybe that'll spark some folks.
I love it.
Because I do think that there's some benefit. I would like to see so I wouldn't have to cross US 1
Right.
and use the Commodore Trail and some other trails, but maybe into the underline. But happy to use the underline. I agree. I think it's beautiful. I think you guys have done a phenomenal job as well.
Well, thank you.
I thought when Brett started vowing, I thought he was going to run the underline because Brett's a runner. So 10 miles is nothing for him. It's like a warm up.
Yes.
But maybe here I am brainstorming on the air, but maybe an underline race would be a good, a 10-mile run.
We're
like along
talking about that. Yes.
In the works.
And we've actually had several nonprofits host their 5Ks on the underline, but we love that idea of having a 10-miler. Wouldn't that be fun starting at
Sign me up.
Okay, good. Okay, our first participant.
There you go. Probably first across the finish line too.
Oh, great. Okay, so we're betting on Brett here.
He's very fast.
Nice.
On the trail and in court.
Oh, really? Okay, both. Is that your slogan?
No.
So tell us, on this note of the business and corporate world, how do people listening to this podcast, who are lawyers and business people, how do they take advantage of the underline or their opportunities for?
First of all, follow us at the underline MIA.
There you
and you're
go.
going to find out about all of the free events. We have concerts. We just had 2 incredible concerts that followed 2 FIFA watch parties. And we saw, just such a slice of Miami show up. It was incredible. Here it is 9:30. I don't know about you, but I'm typically thinking, at
night or in the morning?
At night. I know, that's see. And people were bringing their young kids and they were so excited to have this free concert. So definitely follow us and then check out our website, theunderline.org. And you can check out how you want to engage with us. You can volunteer. We have volunteer opportunities.
What are the volunteer opportunities?
Well, first off, every Saturday you can come plant with us. It's called Day in the Dirt. And you can do weeding or actually planting of our native plants and trees. Or you can be at any of our events. We have some incredible volunteers that show up at every event to check people in, to make sure that we're offering a very welcoming experience. And then if you have a special niche, you want to share with us, we're always going to be eager to talk to you. We have one person who comes in just to water our plants. Can you imagine that?
That's so cool.
That's really cool. And this is a professional, but that has flexible hours. So he comes in, he just, I think, zones out for those 2 hours, but what a help to us. So we're grateful for all of our volunteers.
We talked about this, at the forum, but I'd love to touch on it again here. You encountered a problem with the unhoused. Many of them were living under the Metro Rail. And can you remind us how you guys addressed that?
Sure. It's the number one. When we opened back in 2021, so 5 years ago, that was probably the number one question we got was, what are you going to do about the homeless people? And the first response is always, hey, everyone's welcome on the underline. As long as you're not causing a problem, you're welcome to be at the underline. But we understood this was, an issue, not just for us, for the visitor, but, for the individual experiencing homelessness.
Who's living there. Yeah.
Right. And that's the most important issue, right? So we wanted to attack it in a sustainable manner. And that's what's great. We like to say the underline solves big problems. So we partnered with the Chapman Partnership, who developed something called CP Works. It's a great workforce development program where they train formerly unhoused people to work. And since then, we've hired 6, and they are on the underline. By the end of the next fiscal year, we should have 16 total. And let me tell you, they're all incredible workers. They are incredibly engaging with our visitors. So there's a few that people know by name, and they actually, anytime we post something, they're like, "Tell Marie I said hello." So it's really great. But I think the neatest part of that story is that the participants now have secured permanent housing. So because they have that paycheck, we do pay a living wage here. And in Miami, that's $21.91 an hour. And so we pay that. And so because of that reliability, that predictability in their paycheck, they are able to have permanent housing. So we're so proud that, again, the underline, we could operate on our own or we could operate with partners and amplify our impact. And we've really enjoyed this. And we look forward to growing it even more in the future.
I love that story. Yeah. So these are people who are living under the underline and now they are working for the underline.
Right.
Incredible.
Exactly.
I love it. That's a success story. It's a win-win-win. They do exist.
Yes.
Everyone can win. Patrice, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing your time with us. We know you're busy. Brett, thank you. Thank you for being vulnerable.
Thank you.
For sharing your fears. Christina, thank you for everything. And if you're listening to this episode and you enjoyed it, please let us know. Leave us a review, 5-star review, and subscribe to the show. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Patrice. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you both
Christina.
for the opportunity.
For more information on this show and other resources, visit fastamron.com and connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram @FastAmron.